All right, let's jump right in. What if you could get to the heart of what makes any business tick without dropping a fortune on a fancy degree? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're breaking down the big ideas from Josh Kaufman's The Personal MBA in the next few minutes. So here's the big question, the one that really gets the whole thing started. Can you really master business without that $100,000 price tag? I mean, it's a pretty bold thing to ask, right? And the answer? Well, it definitely shakes things up. And this wasn't just some abstract thought experiment for the author, Josh Kaufman. He lands his great job at Procter& Gamble, looks around, and suddenly he's surrounded by all these colleagues with their fancy MBAs. He felt like he was playing catch-up, and he had this massive choice to make. Take on 100 grand in debt for that degree, or figure something else out. And that's when he stumbled upon his inspiration. And it's a great one. Charlie Munger. Warren Buffett's right-hand man. This guy was a lawyer. He taught himself everything about business and became one of the greatest investors of all time. For Kaufman, this was a total game changer. It was proof that, yeah, you can totally teach yourself this stuff and be incredibly successful.
Okay, so with Munger as his guide, Kaufman basically goes on this epic quest. He just dives in, reading hundreds and hundreds of business books. And he wasn't just reading, he was hunting for the core patterns, the DNA that connects every single successful business out there.
And guess what? He found it. After all that work, he boiled it all down to just 5 core components. Think of it like the DNA of a business. It's this simple, powerful framework. And honestly, if you get these 5 things, you get business. Period. And you really have to think of these 5 parts as a system where every single piece is non-negotiable. I mean, look at this. If you take one away, the whole thing just collapses. No value creation? That's not a business, it's a hobby. No sales? Well, you're a nonprofit now. No value delivery? You're basically a scam. It's simple, but it's also kind of brutal when you think about it.
All right, so let's dig into the first 3 parts of this engine, starting with the one that everything else is built on.
So, part 1, value creation. The core question is just, are you making something people actually want to pay for? And it sounds so obvious, right? But you would not believe how many businesses crash and burn because they skip this fundamental step. You've got to make something people actually want. So what makes someone pull out their credit card? It usually comes down to one of 2 things. First, there's convenience. Think Instacart. It's quick, it's easy, it saves you a trip to the grocery store. Simple. Or you've got high fidelity. This is all about emotion, beauty, status. Think Apple. It just feels good to own their products. So you're either saving people a headache or you're making them feel amazing. Oh, and if you want the perfect example of what not to do, just look at the Segway. I mean, what an incredible piece of technology, right? They spent over $100 million developing this thing, only to find out it was a solution to a problem that basically nobody had. The market just shrugged. Okay, so let's say you've nailed value creation. You've built something awesome, fantastic. But now what? In a super crowded, noisy world, how do you get anyone to even notice you exist? Well, my friends, that is marketing. And one of the best ways to think about marketing comes from Seth Godin. He calls it being the purple cow. Imagine you're driving down a country road, you see a field of cows, you don't even notice them, right? But what if one of those cows was purple? You'd slam on the brakes. It's remarkable because it shatters your expectations. That's what Apple did. They didn't say, here's a new MP3 player. They said, here's 1,000 songs in your pocket. Now that was a purple cow. So you've gotten their attention. Now you actually have to make this sale. And forget everything you think you know about pushy salespeople. At its heart, sales is about one thing and one thing only: building trust. And how do you build trust quickly? A super powerful way is something called social proof. It's pretty simple. Imagine you're at a bus stop and a total stranger comes up and offers you a great deal. You'd probably walk away, right? But what if your best friend was standing right there and said, no, this person is legit, I vouch for them. Suddenly you're listening. For a business, those Amazon reviews, those testimonials, that's your friend vouching for you. All right, you've made the sale. The customer is excited. Now comes the real test, delivering on your promise and, actually making sure you get paid for it. And this next part, value delivery, is what separates the good companies from the great ones. It's not enough to just give the customer what they paid for. The magic happens when you go above and beyond. That's how you turn a one-time buyer into a lifelong fan. A perfect example of this is the online shoe store Zappos. So you order a pair of shoes, and on the checkout page, they promise you standard shipping. Totally normal, sets a clear expectation. But then, bam! The next morning, the shoes are on your doorstep. They upgraded you to next day shipping for free and didn't even tell you. That little moment of surprise and delight, that's gold. They consistently under-promised and over-delivered, creating a fanatic customer base that money just can't buy. Okay, last but definitely not least, we come to the fifth part, finance. After everything else, it all boils down to one brutally simple question. Are you making more money than you're spending? That's it. Forget all the complicated jargon for a second. The money coming in has to be more than the money going out. And here's the key insight. If that equation is broken, it's not a finance problem. It's a problem with one of the other four parts. You're either not creating enough value, your marketing is off, your sales are weak, or your delivery is too expensive. That's where you have to look. So there you have it, the 5 parts of every business. But the real takeaway here isn't just to memorize this list. The real power is that you now have a brand new lens, a new way to look at literally any business. Because as Josh Kaufman says, being great in business isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing which questions to ask. And this framework, this gives you the 5 most important questions. You can now walk into your local coffee shop or analyze a company like Google and immediately start to see what's working and what isn't. So the framework is yours now. You have the tools to deconstruct any business you come across. So think about it. Think about the company you work for or one you really admire. Start asking these 5 questions and see what you find out. I bet it'll be pretty interesting.